There's nothing nuttier than the way the government tries to foul up your life on the freeways. And now Caltrans. Those bozos whose supervisors spend the day chugging beer on our dime.
Well, they got a problem, they say. Federal rules say that traffic in carpool lanes has to be moving at least a 45-mile-per-hour clip, even when we're in rush hour. But I'm afraid on portions, especially on the South 405 from Costa Mesa to Irvine, it's not happening. They miss that mark more than 90% of the time. And I think this has to do with federal funding, too, doesn't it?
Well, whatever it has to do with, it's stupid to mandate a minimum speed. So you bother people constantly about carpooling, and still, 97% of the public doesn't do it. But there's so much traffic on the 405 in Orange County that either some people are carpooling or there's a lot of people who are driving solo, and it's clogged up that lane. So now what they're going to do, they're going to demand that you have 2 passengers in the car.
So it's 3-person carpool.
So how the hell are you going to find 3 people who go to work at the same time and come home at the same time and live in the same area? How do you get 3 husbands, fathers, or 3 mothers and wives?
No, it's got to be workers.
Yeah, right. But how do you get them to line up their lives properly when everybody's got kids and everybody's...
You've got to find another cubicle friend.
Yeah, but you can't. It's not practical. It's horrible that the government has these kind of rules. They haven't worked for over 35 years, and it seems like let's say there are actually too many 2-person cars in the carpool lane. Now you're going to penalize those people and make them find a third? Why would you do that?
That's what one Orange County supervisor said. He said, this has been so successful. Supervisor John Morlock said, we encourage people to do a certain thing. Now we're going to punish them for being successful because 2-person carpools, there's too many of them in the carpool lanes of Orange County's 405. So now there's got to be 3 people in the car. Or they might just turn them into hot lanes, in other words, toll lanes.
Yeah, so then they want to charge you money, but that experiment has already failed on the 110. They're trying to charge people on the 110 in L.A. County, and very few want to use it.
No. Well, in this context, not a failure, because traffic in what was once the carpool lane and is now the toll lane is moving much faster at 45 miles per hour because people are opting not to pay.
Right, but in the
so
regular
they are abiding
lanes,
by the federal rules, which is why they're considering it in this story in Orange County. They don't give a damn, John, about the regular lanes.
No, I know.
They don't want to get in trouble with their carpool lane speeds.
The practical world, they wanted to relieve the traffic in the regular lanes on the 110. They thought, hey.
Oh, no, not by putting in the toll lanes. Well, no, they just want money.
Well, yeah,
That's
they want money, but their story was that
they want to get you out of your car. Matter of fact, somebody's smiling right now by saying because we're crunching all those people in those regular lanes, if they're not going to pay, maybe they'll find another way to get to work.
Well,
and we'll get them out of their cars. Wow.
This experiment has run for months. Nothing's going to change. People would rather deal with more traffic in the regular lanes of the 110.
So. I don't know.
They thought they claimed
it's only
publicly,
been about 6 months. We have to wait and see.
They claimed publicly that they were going to clear out some of the traffic on the regular lanes by getting people to pay in the toll lanes, but that hasn't happened. So they made life worse for most of the people.
What I don't get, though, is you can still carpool for free on the 110. You just have to get the device. I guess people don't even want to do that. It has settings on it. So if you have 2 or 3 people in the car, you put that setting on and you don't pay. You have to pay a maintenance fee, and you have to pay for the transponder deposit. But
people don't want to pay.
They don't want to bother with it.
Why should people
Or maybe
pay?
They don't know. I don't know.
But why should they pay? See, the whole thing is here, why should they pay? With the taxes at such a record rate in this state, why should anybody have to pay even $1 extra to satisfy the bizarre fetishes of these intrusive bureaucrats?
They're the master planners.
They're a bunch of crackpots. They're mental patients. So I'm going to go, okay, let me see, what's the complicated rule here? I could drive for free, but I got to buy a transponder anyway, and then if I only have 1 person in the car, then I got to pay and get a bill. It's like, I just want to drive my car. I just want to drive my car. So you people in Orange County got to watch.
Other options are on the table, like increased police patrols to weed out single occupancy trespassers, or pave entirely new lanes. But
How about that?
They still think, while those may be long-term solutions, they have to come up with something now.
More lanes.
And that may be making it a 3-person carpool or making it a hot lane.
Stupid asses. It's like the idiots in Sacramento who won't build more prisons. They let murderers run on the street. If you have too much traffic, you have to build more freeway lanes. Period. There's no other option. You've tried everything. You've tried toll lanes, 2-person carpools, 3-person carpools. You've tried all this nonsense and garbage, and for 35 years it hasn't worked. It's a failure. Caltrans has failed. The Federal Department of Transportation has failed. They have tried to socially re-engineer us, and we have rejected all their stupid ideas because they don't work practically in a normal life. People are not carpooling. They're not taking bicycles. They're not taking the mass transit subways to nowhere. They're not doing it. They want to drive their cars. They have every right to. You build more lanes. You satisfy the public demand. If the public needs more lanes, you build more lanes.
Now, in a companion story to this, you are probably aware that in Orange County there are toll roads. Now, those roads were built as toll roads, such as the 73. You may be familiar with that, which roughly parallels the 5 and the 405.
And nobody drives on that.
And the 241, which slices through central eastern Orange County and branches into the 261 and the 133. And John's right, because the story is they may never be able to pay off the debt. The money that was borrowed to build these roads, they're just not getting enough revenue from these roads, perhaps to ever pay off the debt.
I drove on the 73 to go see a friend.
It's the road to the moon.
And
it does seem really quiet.
It was like 175 or something, and I was on it for probably a mile.
Yeah, it's expensive.
I was floored. And I don't usually care about stuff like that.
But that's been going on forever. I took that once going to Laguna for the pageant of the Masters, and I forget how I was floored at the price. I was just absolutely it was the highest price for a toll that I'd ever paid in my life, considering how few miles I drove. And then I understood. It's like, well, no kidding, nobody's here. Why
right. I'm like, I'll take the extra 10 minutes on the 405. I'll get off on Culver. Like, it's not a hard thing to go around.
Just out of principle. It's like, if you charged a reasonable toll, then people would take it if they're going to save 10 or 15 minutes. But I don't care, not at that price.
Well, guess what?
Let that stupid 73 rot.
According to a study, these toll roads face more than $10.5 billion in debt and interest. And payments are going to soar. And the only thing they can do is either get a lot more people to use the toll lanes or raise the toll rates, which we just talked about. They seem pretty high. So,
well, they're rolling over. They're refinancing all the debt. So the payoff date is going to be 2053. Now, the deal was whenever the debt was paid off, then the roads would become free. But that's not going to happen in many people's lifetimes, maybe ever, because people don't want to pay this bill. So remember this with the high-speed rail. I'm sure if you go back however many years ago when they built this, they had projections on the number of riders and how much people would be willing to pay. They were completely wrong. They couldn't be more wrong. It's the same crowd now that's going to tell you how much people are going to pay for high-speed rail to chug along for 5 hours from L.A. to San Francisco. They always lie.
All right. When we come back, don't forget the Moist Line is coming up, part 1 just after 6 o'clock. We will go to South Florida for just a great story. I mean, nothing matches, of course, the guy...